What is good, everybody? Welcome to the Dynasty Overload podcast. This is a Dynasty podcast, but it's also a fantasy podcast. So, got tons of information for you guys regarding fantasy football. We are in week 4. A lot of you guys might be 0-3, but there is still hope. Do not give up hope just yet. Your team is going to be fine. All you have to do is strategize and kind of know who to start and who not to start. That's what's going to save you, literally. Whether you are, going to win or not is ultimately up to the players. We have no control over wins and losses. But I want to go ahead and get started with quarterbacks. I have my list. I have the guys that I like. I have the guys that I don't like. I am in on Russell Wilson this week. Russell Wilson is a guy that's a top 10 quarterback right now, and he's going to continue to be a top 10 quarterback. So I am in on Russ. Some aren't in on Russ. I'm in. He's playing the Bears, and the Bears are terrible. They can't guard anybody. So Russell Wilson at the Bears, Soldier Field. So far in the season, 791 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 INTs. He is averaging 22.4 points per game. I don't care what you got to say about Russ. Can't you use 22.4 points a game on your team? So, definitely start him. I mean, it has the potential to be a shootout. 2 terrible teams, 2 teams that cannot stop anyone. So, it should bode well for Russell Wilson. Brock Purdy, I am in on Brock Purdy. I like him a lot this season. I think he's going to be really, really good this season. So, with that being said, Brock Purdy, he's been super, super solid. There's been nothing that you've asked him to do that he can't do. So I'm in on Brock Purdy. He's playing the Arizona Cardinals this week, right? Arizona is one of those teams where you're not expecting Arizona to do much, but they continue to play pretty good ball. Last week, Brock Purdy came through with more than 20 points in fantasy. He threw for 310 yards last week, 2 touchdowns over the Giants. Now, the Giants and the Cardinals, you can say that they're on the same level, but I do expect Purdy to have another good game. Brandon Ayuk should be coming back. So if with a healthy Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Kittle, he has a full complement of weapons. So, yes, sign me up for Brock Purdy this week. Also, I am in on Jimmy G. If Jimmy G is healthy, Jimmy G, he's going to be all right. He's averaging 17.6 points per game this year. So, and remember, this past Sunday night, he threw for 324 yards and 2 scores. Although he had 3 interceptions, he did enough offensively to be able to be very fantasy relevant. So, yeah, it could be a shootout as well in this game between the Vegas Raiders and the LA Chargers. So I look for points, and more points. For those of you guys that are watching on Facebook, man, appreciate you guys. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Talking Sports with Manny, as well as Dynasty Overload, a podcast YouTube channel as well. Drop me a comment. If you guys have any questions, if you guys have any start and sit questions, let me know, and we can talk about it. CJ Stroud. Now, CJ Stroud, it's a little funny with him because some people believe in CJ Stroud, some people don't believe in CJ Stroud, but I love Stroud a lot this season. Stroud has looked great, and his weapons have become great. They're all growing together with Tank Dell, and then you have Nico Collins, Robert Woods, Schultz, even though Schultz has done nothing. But I love me some CJ Stroud this year, and although he's going against Pittsburgh, for me, I'm starting CJ Stroud because I'm all in on CJ. I want to see if he can get by that tough Pittsburgh's defense and putting up amazing numbers, then CJ Stroud is literally a must-start moving forward. He's going to be one of those rookies that had a Justin Herbert-type rookie season where he can end up with 4,000 yards. He can end up with like close to 30 touchdowns. And it can be a lot of garbage yard points and stats, but at the end of the day, you got to love it. Fantasy is all about stats, right? We don't care about anything else but stats when it comes to fantasy football. So I love CJ Stroud this week. Jordan Love, man. Give me all the love, all the love, all the love. I need all the love. Jordan Love, I did a pregame prediction on the Packers versus the Lions, and I have Jordan Love for 3 total touchdowns today, and he potentially could have over 300 yards. I don't know if he's going to pass for him, run for him, but combination, I am predicting Jordan Love for a 3-touchdown game. Christian Watson makes his debut to the season. So with a Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Luke Musgrave, he has the weapons. And then Aaron Jones is back. He's fully healthy and he's back. So that's why I'm all in on Love. And he's looked good without his full complement of weapons. Today, he's going to get everybody back, everybody healthy. And the Lions can play ball. So it could be a high-scoring game potentially. So I'm looking for a 27 to 24 type score, and it should be a good game. Anthony Richardson. Start Anthony Richardson. He had 17 points in the first quarter before he got hurt. So we don't know how many points he would have had. Anthony Richardson with the rushing upside. Rushing QBs are always going to get more points than passing QBs. So I'm all in on Anthony Richardson this week. If he's healthy, he's practiced 2 days in a row, so he should potentially be healthy for this game. Jared Goff. I think that Jared Goff is going to be a top 10 QB this year. That offense is beautiful. Sam Laporta is lighting it up. So, yeah, count me in on Jared Goff this week. What is Goff averaging? Let me see if I can find that information for you guys. Doesn't really matter what he's averaging. It's not going to sway me, either way. I can't find the stats right now. But, yeah. He's looked good. He's averaging close to 20 points per game, I would say. Dujanay, appreciate you for hopping on the stream. Dujanay is asking, if Gus Edwards is good to play this weekend, I have Brian Robinson, Dameon Pierce, and Rachaad White. If Gus Edwards is good to play, right, you almost got to play him because the Ravens have a really good rush offense, right? But I would also say out of this group, I would say start Brian Robinson, and that was the next group that I was getting into is my RBs. I'm in on Brian Robinson this week. A lot of people are not in on Brian Robinson. They're saying the Eagles have a stacked defensive line, rightfully so. But I'm in on Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson Jr. is the offense for the Commanders. Every single goal line carry will go to Brian Robinson Jr. And with the recent fumbles of Antonio Gibson, you can expect Brian Robinson Jr. to continue to carry the load as all 3 down back. So, yes, you do start Gus Edwards because you kind of have to. But at the same time, I'm out on Pierce this week, and I'm also out on Rachaad White. So I hope that helped to answer your question, Mr. Bland. Appreciate you hopping on the stream, man. Now, let's get to the quarterbacks that I'm not interested in playing this week. I'm not starting Danny Dimes. For those of us who had to start Danny Dimes in 2 QB leagues, he gave us like single-digit points. I'm not fooling with Danny Dimes. That's Daniel Jones. For those who don't know who Danny Dimes is, I am not starting Daniel Jones. Justin Fields has a great matchup. He's going against a team that gave up 70 points, right? So naturally, you would say, why not go Justin Fields versus the Broncos? But what has Justin Fields done for you this season? He's averaging like 16 or 17 points a game, closer to 16, 15 points per game. If he plays against the Broncos and doesn't give you that 20 or more points that you're looking for, you could potentially lose your matchup when you could have gone with better options like Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, Jimmy G, Russ, Anthony Richardson, and people like that. So with Fields, try your luck. I'm not starting Fields. Dujanay writes, Calvin Ridley is a solid play also. I would say so. I mean, eventually T-Law would have to do something. For me personally, this week, I'm out on T-Law, but if I had to choose between Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk, I would go Christian Kirk just because he seems to be the better wide receiver so far this year. In the first game, Calvin Ridley went off, right? Second and third game, you can't find Calvin Ridley. I don't know where he's hiding. You can't find him, right? So if you have to play a Calvin Ridley, you play him. You drafted him to play him, then you got to play him. But if you have better options, then you might want to be cautious and go with better options. But, yeah, I'm out on T-Law this week, but that doesn't mean that his weapons can't, go off. So, with that being said, Joe Burrow, I am not starting Joe Burrow anywhere this week or anywhere ever until I see 2 good games out of Joe. Joe has not looked good. Jamar Chase was welcomed back to football. I was glad to see Jamar Chase back last week, But Joe Burrow, man, I mean, he is playing the Tennessee Titans. If you're in a desperate situation, maybe in Dynasty, Superflex, that's the only places that I'm actually starting Joe. If it's redraft or keeper, I'm not starting Joe. I'm not starting Joe unless I have to. Deshaun Watson, he had a good game last week versus the Tennessee Titans, the same team that Joe Burrow is going against. I'm out on Deshaun Watson this week, but if you got to play him, you do what you got to do. Deshaun Watson will be facing the Ravens, so it's going to be a bad matchup, both for Lamar going against that elite Browns defense. If you guys don't know that the Browns have an elite defense, go Google and look up all the defenses in the league, and you'll see that the Browns don't give up a lot of passing yards or rushing yards, let alone points. So that's not going to be good for a guy like Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson does run the ball, so he might be one of those guys that, you know, I mean, Lamar's Lamar. Last week, he didn't play well, but he had 100 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns. So I say that to say Lamar will make up for what he's not doing passing-wise with his legs. So, yeah, I'm out on Watson. I'm only playing him if I need to. Kenny Pickett, I'm out. That goes without saying. I mean, Pittsburgh's offense has been so bad. So, yeah, Kenny Pickett is somebody that I am not going to play this week. Also, Matthew Stafford. Some people like him in a super flex, but when you have 2 touchdowns in 3 games and 4 INTs, I'm out, man. In leagues, you need your, like, if the quarterback is not getting touchdowns, right, you're not getting points. Like right now, Matthew Stafford is averaging 14.6 points per game. No, I need my quarterbacks to be getting me 18 or more points, or it's not worth it for me. And you might say, well, what's the difference between 18 and 14? 4 points is a lot in fantasy, and most times, like I won multiple games this past week by 2 or 3 points. So I don't want to lose games because I started Stafford and I had better options. I'm out on Stafford. I'm out on Kenny Pickett. I'm out on T-Law. I'm out on Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has been a great story, but it's more so real NFL football situations or real NFL stats or real NFL football game than fantasy. If you have to start Baker Mayfield, I will say a prayer for you right now. Y'all know that I'm a big Commanders fan, but I'm out on Sam Howell this week. He's playing a tough defense, the Eagles, but I do think Sam Howell has a decent game. He might have like about 230 yards, maybe 2 touchdowns total, maybe 1 turnover. But I see Sam Howell as a guy that could have a solid game, especially if he runs the ball. That's more point potential for a guy like Sam Howell. So I'm looking at 17 points, maybe close to 20. But, yeah, he's a guy that if I have better options, I'm not starting a Sam Howell. And in a 12-man league, you should have better options than Sam Howell unless you have that one guy who's hoarding all of the QBs. Now, let's get to some running backs. I'm going to get to some running backs that I do like this week. I like Zach Moss a lot. Zach Moss had 30 carries last week. Okay? Zach Moss for the season. Mind you, he didn't play the first game. Zach Moss has only played 2 games so far this season. He has 210 yards in those 2 games, and he has 2 touchdowns. Also has 6 receptions for 42 yards, which is really, really big when it comes to PPR because that's an extra 10 points right there between those 2 stats. He's averaging 21.6 points per game. How many running backs do you know are averaging 20 points a game? I'll wait. It's not that many. It's not that many. So with that being said, I see Zach Moss as a 3-down back. We don't know what happens when Jonathan Taylor comes back. Maybe when Jonathan Taylor comes back, these numbers go down, but I am all in on Zach Moss. It says Facebook user. I can't see who's writing this, but it says Sam Howell ain't fantasy worthy this week. I agree. Like, there's no way you start Sam Howell. There's no way. He played a tough elite team in Buffalo who don't have an elite defense, but that defense stepped up and sacked Sam Howell 9 times. He had 4 turnovers, 4 INTs, and he possibly could have fumbled a couple times. Now he goes against a even better defense in the Eagles. That pass rush is known to do some damage. So, yeah, you can't start Sam this week. Hey, what's up, Hearn? What's good, man? Appreciate you hopping on the stream, brother. I appreciate it. So, yeah, I'm in on Zach Moss, man. I see Zach Moss doing some pretty good things this week. So I am all in on Zach. Give me 1 second. All right. Moving on along, Javonte Williams. Could this be a welcome to the NFL moment for Javonte Williams this year? If you guys listen to my streams and my episodes and my pods, you guys know that I give a welcome to the NFL when a guy that has done nothing all year finally does something. I give him a welcome to the NFL. So it could be, I could be coming back on next week doing the NFL show and doing like the recap of the week 4. And I'm saying, welcome to the NFL, Javonte Williams. So he's done nothing, literally nothing. He's averaging 8.7 points per game. And he's going against the Bears. The Bears can't stop anybody. They are the 37th. I mean, the Bears, like, look, it don't matter if it's passing, rushing. They can't stop anyone. So you definitely want to go up against them. You want to start him. You want to give him a chance. I can see Javonte and Perine both having love on this offense with this team. So anything could possibly go and happen there. All right, let me go to my next guy, Alvin Kamara. He's back. He's healthy, and he's ready. So he's playing Tampa Bay. And it's going to be Jameis Winston throwing passes to him and not Derek Carr. That just gives him another guy that he's gotten some rapport with, a guy that he's played with. Now, when Derek Carr comes back, there could be some communication issues between the two. But I'm starting Alvin Kamara this week. He has stayed in shape. He's hungry. He wants to show that he's still an elite back at 28 years old. So, yes, in PPR leagues, I love some Alvin Kamara this week. I'm going to start him and start him with confidence. Devon Achane, however he says his name now, he's changed his name. He had a great game last week where he had like close to 50 points in fantasy, which is like ridiculous. It's insane what he was able to do. Now, can we expect that again? I don't know. But from that one game, this guy had 204 yards or something crazy like that, and 203 yards, 2 touchdowns. 4 catches, 30 yards, and another 2 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. This guy had a whopping 53.5 points per game. If you started Devon Achane, you won. And if you started him, you only started him because Eckler was out. You started him because you had multiple RBs that were out, right? So, yeah, Achane played well. He played amazing. To be honest. So this week, I'm going to start him in leagues where I need RBs. You got to see what this explosive offense does. Dujanay writes, do you feel that Tutu Atwell could be a good pickup? Absolutely. I have Tutu Atwell on plenty teams. He should not be available in waiver wire right now. This guy is averaging, I believe it's 16 points per game. And I'm going to talk more about Tutu Atwell when I get to the wide receivers. But, yeah, he's definitely a must-add. I said that on my waiver wire show. And he's a guy that is almost a virtual must start. You might not start him as your wide receiver 1 or 2, but he's definitely a good wide receiver 3. He's definitely a good flex play. So, yeah, I love Tutu Atwell the rest of the season because right now it's Puka and Atwell. And then when Kupp comes back, it's going to be Kupp, Puka, and Atwell. And that's a pretty solid group right there. Although Matthew Stafford isn't throwing touchdowns, although Tutu Atwell did catch a touchdown last week, it's still an offense that is predicated on passing and timing and short passes and things of that nature. And Tutu Atwell has been great. So shout out to the small, tiny receivers like Tutu Atwell, Tank Dell, Devonta Smith. It's just crazy how you're getting these smaller guys, both in height and both in stature, and they are producing. So in this new modern day NFL, that's what you're kind of getting right now. All right. Devon Achane, back to Devon Achane. Start him with confidence. I think between him and Mostert, they're gonna get enough love to be very fantasy relevant moving forward. Next guy on my list is David Montgomery. He returns back from injury. He's fully healthy now, so they say. He's going to be playing tonight, and he's going to be a guy that's going to steal away all the goal line carries. A lot of you guys drafted Jahmyr Gibbs in Dynasty or even in redraft to possibly be a rookie that comes in right out the gate and produces. Sorry, but Gibbs is not he has not produced right away. Gibbs is going to be a guy maybe from week 9, from week 10, he catches stride, and right now he doesn't get the touches. So I think that David Montgomery is still the number one running back in on the Lions. He's going to get the touches. He's going to get anywhere between 18 to 20 touches. Not only that, he's going to get every single goal line carry. So with that being said, he might be touchdown dependent, but David Montgomery could be a really good play, especially for those of you guys that have been starving for RB play. Here's an RB that can get you solid points. Yes, I like him a lot this week. I mentioned Devin Achane, but I also like Raheem Mostert. Why not? I know they're playing Buffalo, but it's going to be a high-scoring game potentially, and the Dolphins' offense is just so good that they're going to be in scoring positions a lot. So their kicker is also somebody that you want to have. This guy kicked 10 extra points and had 10 points. He kicked 10 extra points and had 10 points. Just imagine if the kicker had field goal opportunity. This dude could have easily had 20 or 25 points just off of kicking 30 and 40-yard field goals. All right. So a lot of people like Jahmyr Gibbs tonight. I'm kind of out on Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm not going to start him. That's just me. Who else am I in on? James Cook. James Cook has looked great. He had 15 carries for 112 yards last week versus Washington. He's topped 100 yards total in 2 straight games. So he's a guy that just off the yards alone, he's getting you 10 points just off rip. We're not talking about receptions. We're not talking about touchdown potential. We're just talking about just getting yards, period. So he's a guy that you might want to rock with. I talked about it earlier on in the show. I'm in on Brian Robinson Jr., even though he's going against a tough Philadelphia Eagles defense. Is only giving up 2.8 yards per carry. Something has to give. I think that Brian Robinson has a game versus the Eagles. I can be totally wrong. And if I'm wrong, feel free to come roast me. Please roast me, man. I don't always get it right, but when I get it right, I brag. So when I get it wrong, you guys should definitely roast me. Breece Hall, I'm out on. Gus Edwards, I'm out on. Like, you don't even know what's going on with that backfield. And like I said, the matchup versus the Cleveland Browns, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. He was banged up. Justice Hill is coming back. Melvin Gordon, Kenyon Drake. You don't know who's getting the ball. But if you have to play Gus Edwards, then you play him. But I'm not playing him. A.J. Dillon, I'm out. It took me 4 years to realize that A.J. Dillon is terrible, especially in Dynasty. I was so in on A.J. Dillon. I was excited, but he's terrible. Just is what it is. All right. So that's it for running backs. It's pretty much straightforward. I'm also out on Dameon Pierce, Rachaad White, and Joe Mixon this week as well. As we transition to the wide receiving group, which is possibly my favorite. Those guys are the ones that make the flashy plays. Puka Nacua, he had I would say, not a bad game last week, but he didn't perform like he normally does, like going off for the first 2 games that we've seen. But he's one of like 6 wide receivers in the entire league that has scored at least 13 points per game in each and every game so far this season. 1 of 6. So he's virtually a must start. If you have not gotten any points out of Puka, you maybe week 1 you didn't have him on your team, and then week 2 you got him, but you didn't trust him, you didn't play him, and then week 3 bad matchup or whatever the case may be, you don't play him there. He's a must start. He's going against a tough Indianapolis defense, but I love what he brings to the table. He's averaging 21.4 points per game. He has 30 receptions for 338 yards. So, yeah, him and Tutu Atwell kind of go hand in hand. Tutu doesn't get all the hype that Puka's getting, but he's right there with him. He's averaging 16.8 points per game with 17 receptions, 246 yards, and 1 touchdown. And he's going to be a guy that's going to be highly, highly targeted by Stafford. I can see Stafford throwing the ball to those 2 guys. All right, we got Patty in the building, man. Appreciate you for hopping on the stream. Patty writes, should I trade away A.J. Brown for Deebo Samuel and Miles Sanders? I would do this trade if it's redraft. If it's redraft, I would do this trade because if you're trying to get Miles Sanders, that means you're looking for RB help. And Deebo Samuel has looked good this season. I was wrong about Deebo. I've apologized to Deebo. I called him. He didn't answer, but I left him a voicemail telling Deebo Samuel that I'm sorry, and he is still him. Deebo looks great this year, so I don't mind trading A.J. Brown for Deebo because A.J. Brown and that offense, you don't know when A.J. Brown is going to get his. It's going to be A.J. Brown or a Devontae Smith. It's going to be hard for Jalen Hurts to get both of his receivers love to be fantasy relevant at the same time each week. So, yeah, I would definitely do that deal, Deebo and Miles Sanders. My receivers are Amon-Ra, Amari Cooper, Tank, and would be Deebo. My RBs are, I guess it's Aaron Jones, Hines. I guess you meant Aaron Jones, Connor, and Miles Sanders. You should do that deal because you seem to be very, very thin at running back. So I understand why you're making this deal. And then Amon-Ra and Amari Cooper and Tank should be able to hold it down, even if Deebo ends up being terrible. At least you get a depth piece with Miles Sanders. If something was to happen to Aaron Jones or Connor, you can go ahead and slide him into your starting lineup. It says, love to see you working hard on the stream, bro. Hey, appreciate you, man. Hey, appreciate the love that you guys give me, both on the podcast, both on the YouTube channels. The TikTok is getting some steam right now. I'll be recording something for TikTok in just a minute. So I appreciate the love, man. Make sure you guys follow on TikTok, TS with Manny, but also I want to promote the Dynasty Overload just a little bit more, being that that's our newest project, Dynasty Overload Fantasy Podcast. We are on Apple. And this audio will be going straight to the audio version, so you guys can catch us there. Moving on along. All right. So we are still on wide receivers. All right. Patty writes again, Watson or Goff this week. I have Aaron Jones and Amon-Ra tonight, so I'm leaning towards Watson. I get it. I know why you're scared. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Thursday night hasn't been great to a lot of us, right? But you got to trust your gut. If you were here early on in the show, Jared Goff is one of my guys this week. I'm going to start Jared Goff with confidence. I'm starting Jordan Love with confidence. I like Aaron Jones tonight. I like Amon-Ra tonight. And if you don't start Jared Goff and he goes off, you're going to be kind of upset. In my rankings and in my assessment, I have Watson. I'm not in on Watson this week. I'm not in on Watson. I know he's playing the Ravens. Ravens could be up and down. It could be a game where Jerome Ford is getting love. So I'm out on Watson and I'm in on Jared Goff. I hope that helps, man. All right. We have the Not Bland Show. Hey, Dujournay. Yeah, I need to check out the Not Bland Show. That's my guy, Dujournay Bland. It says Scary Terry is a good play this weekend. He should be a good play. If there's any receiver that I'm going to trust on the Commanders, it's Terry. I'm in on Terry and I'm out on Dotson until Dotson shows me something. It's not Dotson's fault. It's Eric Bieniemy and Sam Howell. They're not scheming Dotson open. They're just not getting him the ball. So yeah, if I had to trust any wide receiver in Washington, it would be Terry McLaurin this week. Nico Collins and Tank Dell. Yes, they are a package deal. Nico's averaging 15.7 points per game, while Tank Dell is averaging 17.4 points per game. Both guys have over 250 yards receiving. Both guys have exactly 15 receptions each, and they all have at least one touchdown. So I'm in on this Houston offense. I'm in on this Houston young wide receivers. It took Nico heading into year 3 to be relevant. So yes, I'm all in on Nico. Snag you some Nico if you can, and if you have him, start him with confidence. But if you have to ask me, who do I like better, Nico or Tank Dell? Give me Tank Dell. I think Tank Dell is more explosive, and then Nico could be the guy that gets more of that touchdown upside, especially around the red zone. Now, what other wide receivers do I like? Michael Pittman has been consistent, man. If you look up consistency in the dictionary, you're going to see a picture of Michael Pittman. This guy's averaging 18 points per game. He has 25 receptions, 230 yards, 1 touchdown. He's played with 2 different QBs this year, and yet he continues to be consistent. If you're like me, I was thinking Anthony Richardson couldn't pass the ball. I was like, how are they going to scheme Michael Pittman open? And they just find a way to get Michael Pittman going. So I'm excited for that. So, yes, I'm all in on Michael Pittman. He's going to have another good game versus the LA Rams. And that could be a sneaky potential high-scoring game between those two teams. The old man, Adam Thielen, you got to start putting some respect on this guy's name. He went off week 2. He went off week 3. Week 3, Adam Thielen was the number 3 wide receiver in all of fantasy football. This dude had 20 receptions. He has 20 receptions for the season, 211 yards for the season, and 2 touchdowns. He's averaging 18.4 points per game. And he's playing the Minnesota Vikings. They cannot guard anybody. If you want to see the Broncos mirror image, I mean, it's literally Minnesota. So I can see Adam Thielen having another good game. Yes, I would have loved for Andy Dalton to play this week because Andy Dalton has more of a rapport with Thielen, being that vet to vet. Bryce Young comes in. He's still going to find Thielen, but, man, I love what I saw out of Dalton to Thielen last week. So start Thielen with confidence. Now, DJ Moore could be a good play this week, but I'm not really playing anybody from the Bears. But if you're in desperate need for a wide receiver, maybe a wide receiver 3, maybe you're looking for a flex play, then his 11.3 points per game that he averages could definitely help you out. Jacoby Myers, he seems to be him. In 2 games this year, he's averaging 22.3 points per game, 16 receptions, and 166 yards on the season with 2 touchdowns. That 8 reception per game mark is marvelous. And like I said earlier, versus the Chargers, this could be a potential high-scoring game. And if it is, Jacoby Myers could give you all the points you need to help you win this week. My boy Dujanay says Christian Watson is probably a wait and see. I think he would be a risk tonight. Yes, he would be a risk tonight, but I play in a lot of different leagues that's a 4-flex league, meaning that we have 4 flex positions. And those are the only leagues where I'm really starting Christian Watson. If I don't have to start him, I'm not starting him because you want to kind of see what does he look like. What if he goes off? What if he goes off for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns? Then you might be mad. But he's still a flex play. I'm in on Watson this week. But if you're doing that, make sure you have a backup plan. Make sure you have a really good team. You just can't just put Christian Watson out there and say, hey, he's my wide receiver 1. That's not going to bode well for you. Courtland Sutton is averaging 14.6 points a game this season. He's looked good. I'm in on Courtland Sutton. Josh Palmer, if you're looking for a flex play or if you're needing that extra guy to, come on your squad and give you positive numbers, give you positive play, then you might want to start Josh Palmer. We all know that Mike Williams is out for the season. Someone's saying, is it Quentin Johnson? Is it Josh? It's going to be Josh Palmer. He's been in the league. He knows the offense. And you're going to go with the third-year man over the first-year guy that's also a project. So start Josh Palmer with confidence. Elijah Moore could be a decent flex play. Him and Rondell Moore in deeper leagues that possibly require more receptions. I think both guys go over 7 receptions each this week between Wan'Dale Robinson and Elijah Moore. I'm out on Garrett Wilson, and that's tough to say. I'm a Garrett Wilson guy. Then you'll say, hey, man, he's averaged double figures in every single game. That's by the grace of God. God has been by his side. Garrett Wilson has a praying mother, and she's praying for him constantly. But, yeah, Garrett Wilson has just not been a good play because of Zach Wilson's ineffectiveness. I'm out on DeAndre Hopkins. I'm out on Gabe Davis. I'm out on Gabe Davis every single week. It's not that Gabe Davis is bad. It's just you don't know when Gabe Davis is going to have a big play. So, for me, I am not starting him. Simon says, appreciate you hopping on the stream, man. Please like, please subscribe, and please share. Simon says, Flowers or Judy? I'm in on Flowers. Flowers is getting targets. He is Lamar Jackson's number 1 weapon. And then with Jerry Jeudy, although he has a good matchup this week, is Jerry Jeudy fully healthy? Until Jerry Jeudy gets fully healthy or healthy enough, I can't trust Jeudy much going forward this season. But yeah, at least Flowers, he gets the targets, he gets the receptions, but he just hasn't really had a breakout game yet. So it's tough. Both guys are going to be around the same amount of points this week, if that helps. But yeah, I like Flowers over Jeudy. All right. Drake London, I'm out on him. I'm super in on Mike Evans, regardless of what the matchup says. You know, you got the Saints, you got Marshawn Lattimore. These two guys have been going at it. And look, Mike Evans is averaging 21.6 points per game. There's no way I'm benching Mike Evans. There's no way, humanly impossible, that you can actually bench a guy like Mike Evans, who's pretty hot right now. Let me see. Let me cross-check with my other list. Let me see if there's any other wide receivers that I'm in on this week before I move on to tight end. Tight end, I got some pretty interesting takes when it comes to tight ends. As far as the Cincinnati Bengals guys in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, I'm in on both because the Titans can't cover anyone. Titans are pretty terrible, so you can see a potential where both guys have a pretty big game. If I have to choose between the two, obviously it's Jamar Chase. I am in on Calvin Ridley, semi-in. I hope he produces. He's playing the ATL Falcons. I mean, they need this game. They need this game desperately. I already talked about Tank Dell. I'm in on him. And then in terms of the Patriots, I'm out on every single Patriots pass-catching weapon, if they even have weapons. I'm out on everybody Patriots right now. All right, let's go ahead and get to tight ends. Sam Laporta, the number 2 tight end in fantasy football right now with 18 receptions, 186 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. The stats don't wow you, but he's averaging 14.2 points per game. It just tells you where the tight end group is right now, to where Sam Laporta is having a good season, but I mean, he's the number 2, or, you know, he's definitely in the top 5. It might have changed, but yeah, he's definitely in the top 5. And I love Sam Laporta tonight. In my predictions, I am predicting Sam Laporta to score a touchdown tonight. I hope that my predictions come true. Evan Ingram has been solid. He's a top 5 tight end. He's averaging 11.8 points per game. So pretty much any tight end is averaging double figures. You start that tight end with confidence. Guys like Hunter Henry, you start him. Guys like Luke Musgrave, he's up and coming. And he could have a sneaky good game tonight, but with Watson coming back, I don't know how Luke Musgrave fares for tonight's game. Guys like Freiermuth, he's solid. Guys like Gerald Everett, Parham, Dalton Kincaid, just with tight ends, just pick whoever. I like Jake Ferguson, and I'm waiting on that Jake Ferguson breakout game. Jake Ferguson is going to be a force as the season goes on. Like right now, it's just tough with tight ends. Even guys like, a lot of you guys drafted Kyle Pitts, and Kyle Pitts is giving you guys nothing. I've been out on Kyle Pitts for a long time. I try to warn some people, and it's not really Kyle Pitts' fault. It's just the way that Arthur Smith runs his team. So yeah, I'm in on Jake Ferguson. And really, with tight ends, just kind of guess. You just have to guess. If you don't have a top 7 tight end or some of the ones that are producing right now, when it comes to tight ends, just guess. Like, I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? What's the worst that can happen? If your tight ends are getting you 10 or more points, then you're feeling good about your team right now. Darren Waller is a guy that could do something, but he just hasn't done anything. They might be playing from behind, so that means there's going to be targets to be had versus the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks have not been great when it comes to covering tight end. So why not take that chance on a Darren Waller if you have him? If you have him, you drafted him to play him. A sneaky tight end could be Zach Ertz. He's been solid the first 2 games, had a bad week 3. So yeah, that's it for me on tight ends. I'm not doing the kickers. I'm not doing the defenses. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to give it like a good 2 minutes before I end the stream. But yeah, man, I am excited for tonight's game. I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be touchdowns galore, points galore. I'm looking forward to Jared Goff and Jordan Love being, top-tier QBs this week. I have both guys as top 12 QBs this week. So, yeah, wide receivers, obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown. A guy that has made me upset is Josh Reynolds, man. Where is Reynolds? Reynolds had those first 2 weeks, and I was so excited about what he brings to the table, and then he just fell off. What's good, Pat? Appreciate you hopping on the stream. Pat writes, who do you like more this week, Ferguson or Kincaid? And that's tough, man, because I've talked up Ferguson. I've talked up Kincaid, but I've talked up Ferguson specifically because that breakout game for Ferguson is coming, and it could be this week. So if I had to pick, I'll look at the quarterbacks. Dak Prescott has looked bad, right? Josh Allen has looked good, but Kincaid really hasn't gotten the hype that we were expecting to get. So I would go Kincaid over Ferguson just this week. But when it's all said and done, I think that Ferguson might outscore Kincaid. That's a bold take. That's a hot take right there. I think that Ferguson outscores Kincaid this year. But for this week, give me Kincaid. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you guys have any more questions, man, let me know. I got a few more minutes before I shut this thing down. Yeah, Josh Reynolds, man, he let me down big time. So in terms of receivers, the only one I can trust on the Lions right now is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Running back wise, A.J. Dillon, throw him in the trash. If you have him on your team, throw him away. Patrick Moore writes, also, is Kareem Hunt worth holding on the roster? Absolutely. I would give Kareem Hunt 2 more weeks. If he doesn't produce this week or next, then you can kind of get away from Kareem Hunt. At least see what his role is this week. Everybody was excited about getting Kareem Hunt. I had folks trading second-round picks in Dynasty. Oh, Kareem Hunt this, Kareem Hunt that. I'm like, wait a minute. This dude just got off the couch and got onto the NFL field. He has to adjust. Well, it's, he knows the system. But Jerome Ford looked good. And then he looked good again last week with 2 more touchdowns. So Kareem Hunt will have a role. How much of a role? That's to be announced. So we don't know. But I would definitely say keep him until you can't keep him anymore. But if you definitely need your roster spot, then you definitely would, free him if you're finding a better option in free agency. But I would say this, it's tough to get running backs right now, especially in free agency. Guys like Kareem Hunt are not even available in my leagues. So my boy Bland says, Alvin Kamara comes back this week. You got to play him, right? Absolutely. You possibly missed, I think you missed some of that Kamara take that I had. You might have left it and then came back in. But yeah, I love Alvin Kamara this week, man. He's excited. He's rejuvenated. And then also that Jameis Winston factor. Jameis Winston knows how Kamara plays. They're going to connect for at least 5 receptions. That's already 5 points added to your team. So let's say he goes 5 receptions for, let's just say 30 yards. That's 8 points already. A lot of backs aren't getting 8 points right now. So just on the receiving work alone, that's 8 points. And then who knows? He might add another 80 yards rushing, and automatically that's 16 points. If he scores a touchdown, you're talking about 22, 24, 26 points. So Alvin Kamara could definitely have a much needed big game for your teams. If you guys drafted this guy and held him, congratulations. He is about to pay off for you guys. Appreciate it, man. Much love. Hey, man, appreciate you, man. Appreciate y'all. So, guys, this is my time. This is the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. This is an episode for Dynasty Overload, a fantasy podcast. You guys can find Dynasty Overload on TikTok. That's Dynasty Overload. You guys can find us on Facebook. You guys can also find us on Twitter as well as Instagram. So I'll be going on TikTok, just dropping little gems here and there about different things that we got going on. Appreciate all the love that you guys are giving us out there, and I'm gonna catch you guys on that next episode. I'm out. Peace.